Let's talk about addictions. I have a lot of experience in this area. I've been dealing with addicts and alcoholics and cross-addicted people since I was 15. I had my first, you can say, sponsee at 15 because I got clean when I was 15 because I was done. I got clean real young because I started taking pharmaceutical drugs when I was 7 because I had a pretty deep neurological imbalance and it was causing all kinds of really painful symptoms, and then that's all they know how to do is give you pills, you know. So my body was already starting to break down. By the time I hit 12 and started smoking weed, I'd already been an addict and didn't even know it. So I didn't have much of a grace period left, and so I hit bottom pretty quick. I hit bottom at 15. I just thought I was losing my mind. When I would smoke weed, I felt like I was in a rerun of an old commercial. That's how I described it. It's like I was here, but I wasn't here. It's like I felt like I was just existing somehow, but not in a spiritual, non-dual way. Like, it was like really dark and heavy. I thought I was losing my mind, but I couldn't stop smoking weed. So I went to a rehab, I got clean, started going to meetings. I really liked the 12-step program. I met all my friends there, raw, real people trying to get their life together. It's cool. And then if you go to another country, just find a 12-step group, and then they show you all the ends. You know, you get all the data. So anyway, I started speaking at these meetings. I'd go to rehabs and speak in prisons and jails, and both men and women prisons, and detox centers and treatment centers, everything. So I know about addiction. Let's talk about it. How does it apply to non-dual, though? Can you just say, like, there's no addict and there's no addiction? Try it. I think you guys know that doesn't work, not the real addicts. Now somebody, see, this is where it gets tricky. Somebody who's not an addict, who has no experience with that, will talk sometimes from a place of like arrogant ignorance. They don't know what it is to deal with addiction. So they say, like, just stop. There you go. Oh, I never thought of that. Yeah, okay, just gonna stop. Or their mind will justify and rationalize and say, yeah, I used to be addicted too, and I just stopped. And so they think that that's just how it is. You just stop. It has nothing to do, though, with willpower or mental horsepower, or if you're strong or not. If you're really strong, you could put this down. It's not like that. Just because you have two people who are addicted doesn't mean it's the same experience inside. What makes addictions difficult is when people have some kind of deeper psychological imbalance to where whatever drug you're using doesn't have to be like weed or cocaine, or it doesn't have to be like a synthetic drug like that. It can be food, it can be sex, it can be gambling, it can be shopping, it can be whatever. There's like probably 300 12-step programs. So everybody's an addict on some level, they just don't know it. Coffee, it's a big addiction. Sugar. All right. So if there's some psychological karmic imbalance, though, in a person's body, mind, in neurology, and they're using this addiction to somehow treat that as a medicine, that's going to be harder to stop. Because you can't just, what are you going to do? Just stop? The imbalance is still there. You see, if somebody doesn't have a deep, already kind of intense karmic imbalance, it's going to be easier for them to stop. If they were just using whatever addiction they were using to kind of escape the moment or feel good for a little bit, and then they ended up getting addicted to it, then they can stop. It's more easy. But if you have some real imbalance and you try to stop, that imbalance is still there. And it's going to get worse because now you got to deal with the withdrawals when you stop. See, that's the problem. You can't just non-dual that away. This is the body karma. This is the human karma. We can't non-dual our karma away. We can say, sure, the karma belongs to the body-mind level, so therefore I'll just stay as my true self, and it won't affect me. No, it does affect you, because we're here to play this game. It's about balance. We got to deal with the dualistic human self and at the same time self-remembering. We realize our non-dual self and put attention on that as best we can. But that doesn't give us like a get out of jail free card when it comes to our human karma. That's the thing. And as far as who gets what addiction, you know, that's all karmic. We'd have to go back and see, like in previous lives, were you more of a, a sex addict, or were you more of a food addict? Did you use food to escape yourself, or whatever else, alcohol? So if you did, those tendencies carry over, and then this is what manifests in this life. It doesn't really matter what your addiction is, though. One addiction's not like so-called worse or better than the other, only in concepts. Somebody who's a real sex addict is going to get probably a little more slack than somebody who's alcoholic, just because of mental concepts. But it doesn't, it's just a concept. Addiction is addiction, period. Some have it worse than others. And like I said, the more psychologically, karmically imbalanced you are, the more that if you're depending on this addiction to give you a kind of pseudo sense of balance for a while, then unless you're addressing that balance in another way, then if you stop one addiction, you're gonna grab another one. I've seen that over and over in AA and NA. They stop their drug or alcohol, then they become a sex and porn addict, or lust addict, or food addict, or coffee addict. You see, they're just changing addictions because they still need something to take that edge off. Because something's, they can't just be with themselves. It's too uncomfortable because the symptoms, the restlessness, the imbalance, the neurology, it activates. And so it's like they need something to calm that. I can tell you a lot of addicts, man, they're my favorite people, especially the ones that are in recovery. They have deep spiritual tendencies. They know that, like, this life isn't meant to just suffer or just to do the mundane things everybody does, get make money, get a job, get married, die. Like, something in them knows there's something more to life. And so they need something, like they can't bear it because their spiritual practice isn't yet like really detonated. It's not so strong yet, and they're still absorbed in the whole mess we get absorbed in when we're born here, all the collective conditioning and nonsense that people say what's important and this and that. And so you're like caught in between. You're like trying to do what society's telling you to do to make you feel good, but yet deep inside like that's not going to make you feel good, but yet like what to do. It's a mess being a human being on some level. Anybody that don't admit that's lying to themselves. I think Buddha said, right? Buddha said, like, life is suffering. Yeah. But we signed up for this. So we have to experience it because we have the power within us to transcend it. So what do we do about addictions? That's why I'm a big proponent, and I've made videos. You can see my spiritual growth channel where I talk about, it's called Transcending Shadows. It's on the YouTube homepage. Also, my other channel, Beyond the Alchemy, that's semen retention for guys. That's on my channel page. And if you're a girl, I have a specific channel for the girls. So it's covered. And I talk about the principles that help make spiritual growth or your sadhana more easy, or your non-dual practice more easy. It's about diet, it's about lifestyle habits, the environment, the people you're hanging with. And then it's about introspection, looking to see what are your addictions. Everybody's a dopamine addict, by the way. I don't think there's a 12-step program for that yet. Dopamine is the ultimate drug. It's in our brain. So all we got to do is think certain thoughts or do certain things or take certain chemistry to activate this release of dopamine, and we get a nice escape from life for, however long. But then that in turn weakens our nervous system, and so then we become more dependent on it, and it's just a downward spiral. And again, that's more prevalent and harder to quit for people who already have a deep imbalance. This is the main thing. This is the main thing. This is why people don't understand. They don't understand, like, if they don't have that deep imbalance already and they've quit something, they can't understand why somebody else just can't quit. I'm telling you why. That's why. And then the person who can't quit feels guilt and shame, and why aren't I strong enough? Why can't I quit? And then the people are like, yeah, why don't you quit? Everybody else is quitting, not me. You got to bring acceptance into this human karmic life, okay? There's a sense of struggling. Your human puppet self is struggling. That's not who you are, though. Something has to just be okay with all this. You're trying at the same time, of course, to be free of your addiction. Go to 12-step programs. You got to go to these meetings, man, where you're in a room where people are all on the same page. They know what it's like to struggle with addictions. You have different levels of clean time and sobriety, and so then that inspires you. You meet like-minded people. Somehow then God can work through them to inspire you, and it's just a great place to be. Why try to do all this alone? Or go to a therapist who has no idea what this is, unless you go into a therapist who's also an addict. That's okay, but then you got to pay them. Just go to 12-step meetings, they're free. And the same, you can't just non-dual it or spiritualize it away. You need the practical level, the practical side, which you get from fellowship, from going to the meetings, and these lifestyle principles that I keep talking on. When we're preserving our sexual energy, when we have a clean diet, that doesn't take a lot of energy to digest this food that we're eating, we have more energy, our vibration increases. Then it's easier to bear the withdrawals that will come when we let go of this addiction. This is why I'm all about full spectrum. I'm a full spectrum guy. I don't just focus just on non-duality. That's why I make fun of it all the time. I can't say it enough, you know. Nothing exists, it's just funny for me, because it doesn't work. I don't think it works for anybody. Even the ones that don't have a deep psychological imbalance, I don't think even them, like you can't deny your human life and transgress natural health laws and think that you can just non-dual everything away. Like they're that bubble they're in life's gonna burst it at some point. And then you're gonna realize, oh yeah, this is actually about balance. I have to take care of my human karmic self and also bring attention to this spiritual formless self. Okay, did I miss anything? So that's the whole thing. I always get everything, but I want to check, make sure. We got to get and experience this sense of inner wellness, this well-beingness. We have to start tasting that a little bit. And then some inner power will start to activate, and then it'll be easier to put these addictions down. Now, some addictions you can just put them down. Do it if you can just put them down. Camera did something. Oh well, I don't know. It's like the light changed. Huh. So the addictions that you can put down, just put down. But usually they may be one that's really sticky. And like I said, most people have something. They're using alcohol, or they stop the alcohol, then they maybe start smoking weed. They stop smoking weed, then they start drinking coffee. They put the coffee down, they start smoking cigarettes or doing nicotine. They put that down, then they start lusting, start trying to, play with girls more or get attention from guys if you're a girl. You stop that, then maybe they start eating. It's just on and on and on. Unless there's a true spiritual awakening, which then brings balance to this nervous system and neurology, to where then we're getting our feel-good feelings from this uncaused source. Unless that happens, there's always going to be a market outside that we're gonna instinctively gonna try to find something to take the edge off. That's just how it is. There's no way around that. It's instinctual, because it's like self-preservation. We want to feel good. It's just we're looking for it in the wrong ways. So understand that this is a lifelong deal. You can always fine-tune yourself more. I mean, obviously, if you're on heroin or cocaine or some heavy thing, you want to stop that. But there's levels to this addiction game, and it gets more subtle and subtle. You stop the heavy stuff, then maybe you're still addicted to caffeine and nicotine, okay? Then you start working on that. Then maybe you're addicted to edging. I talk about that on my semen retention channel. You try to get hits of validation from the opposite sex. Are they looking at me? Ooh, yeah, I'm somebody. Cool. You start milking that. Okay. I call that edging addiction, which is dopamine addiction. There's all kinds of little things we can do to stimulate this dopamine release. So you chill. It depends how deep you want to look at things. You can always find something to fix and fine tune. So I'm trying to say, like, relax about it. This human self's never going to be perfect. I don't care who you are. The rishis, the sages, they have something, some idiosyncrasies, some stuff in there. There's always something to improve on. So relax. Why stress yourself? You know, that's the mind stressing yourself so that then you go do the addiction again. See, the mind comes in the back door and puts its spiritual hat on. It says, get rid of this addiction, you're spiritual. Yeah, what's wrong with me? Oh, it's too much stress, give me something. This is what happens. Let me know how you like that video. Leave me any questions you have, and we'll keep doing this. All right, have a good day.